Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 51 of the Knuckle Sammich podcast, the official MMA podcast of Sauce on the Side. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Thomas R. Shackelford.
Good morning.
And our producer, Mr. Leighton Pip Shaventone.
I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. 1 month from now, Thomas, we eat my shorts.
There's no way. There's no way.
So, Dippers, just to key you guys in, there's been a challenge inside the kennel.
I wasn't even in on the challenge. I'm getting drug into the challenge.
You texted me about the challenge.
There is the state championship mile run is held in our town, our small little town of Heron, Illinois.
It's my city.
It is a city. It is a township. It is everything great you could imagine that the state championship mile would be held in. And there's a three-man weave going to be competing in that, and it is Thomas, Mr. Shaventone, and myself. So, Dippers, we're going to update you every week on how our training is going, and we'll tell you the results whenever that run comes.
This is the one time I'll be fine getting second place.
So, Dippers, today we are going to talk about UFC 236, and we even have a little fun segment for you. It is called "How Well Do You Know UFC 236?" Prove it. It is an ESPN poll or an ESPN questionnaire that Leighton C has found that he had taken himself and went 1 for 10 on.
1 for 10.
1 for 10.
But the fact that I knew the people they were talking about is impressive.
That's a step in the right direction for you.
51 weeks ago, couldn't tell you.
Yes. So we're going to shoot to go better than 10%. So, Leighton C, you know what to do. Welcome to the Knuckle Sammich podcast with Thomas R. Shackelford, a Sauce on the Side production. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start off hot and heavy with our game. Leighton C will read the questions to Thomas and myself, and we will try to see how many of these bad boys we can get right. I think we'll do a clean sweep.
Yeah, I think we'll kill it.
All right, so first question. This one, not really about the event, but it's on the list. How many interim title fights have there been in UFC history entering UFC 236?
What the hell?
So
That's a hell of a question.
Yeah, did you try and answer that one?
Yeah,
That's one of the ones?
This is the one I got right.
So how many interim titles?
Are there any...
God dang.
Oh, yeah, the options. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, boy.
Damn, I'm like, that could be like 25. I don't know.
8, 14, 20, and 33.
I'm going to say 14.
I'm going to guess 14 as well.
The boys guess 14. The answer is 20. That's one I got right.
20.
That's the one you got right?
Yeah.
How the hell
damn, I
you
can't wait to see the rest of these.
Well, no, I thought about like how long UFC's really been around, and I thought about how many have been recently, and how people cut pussies now. I was like, okay, it's not 33 because nobody's the highest one, so I picked 20.
Wow, that's insane. 20.
That's a lot.
That's way too many. Because there's only been 200 events, so that's like
236.
Almost, yeah, 236. So you divide that by 20, that's like almost one
I feel
every...
like this is one we could get thrown out, because what counts as an interim title? Boss Rutan won the title and never defended it, and they gave somebody else a title. That probably counts as an interim title. Technically, there's probably a bunch. I bet you, like, when I was going to college, when instead of somebody just being like, oh, I missed that one, no big deal, they cried about it long enough, and the teacher is finally like, fine, for God's sake, take that one off.
Thomas, do you know why this question is staying in the quiz?
Because you got it right.
I'm not getting a fucking 0. Next question. Max Holloway has won 4 consecutive title fights by knockout. Which fighter holds the record for most consecutive knockout in title fights? The GOAT, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Anderson Silva, Matt Hughes.
This one's tough.
I think Anderson
I would
Silva.
go Anderson Silva.
The answer is Chuck Liddell.
Is it really?
Yep.
How many?
Did not give a number.
Wow.
The most consecutive ever.
This is bullshit.
This is bad.
All right, now 0 for 2.
This is planet bullshit.
This is bad.
This is how I knew I was learning things. Cause I knew how to say this guy's name. You know when I get to it. Dustin Poirier has landed the second most significant strikes per minute in UFC lightweight history, behind Justin Gaethje. That's what I knew. I knew my shit now. What is the number? 5.4, 5.9, 6.9, nice, 7.1. Significant strikes per minute.
So what were those again?
5.4,
5.4 is it.
5.9, 6.9, 7.1.
And he's second behind Gaethje.
Yep.
I want to say Gaethje was 5.5.
Yeah, I think it has to be 5.4.
The answer is 7.1.
7.1?
Guys, I'm going to get this quiz right now. Because we're over 3.
This is a bad quiz because Justin
is
Gaethje,
bullshit.
we had talked about it just before the last
Maybe
fight.
he was 7.4 and he was 7.1.
This is
No. We
bullshit.
talked about it before the last fight that Justin Gaethje landed five strikes per minute and absorbed 5 strikes per minute.
Okay, well, guys, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Give us the
You're
next
wrong.
question.
You're wrong.
This is bull.
Max Holloway. Max Holloway is one of 3 fighters to win at least 5 UFC main events without a loss. Who are the other 2 fighters? Bones Jones and Dominic Cruz. Bones Jones and Chris Weidman, or Weidman, how you want to say it. Chris Weidman and Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes and Dominic Cruz.
It's got to be one of the Bones
It's
Jones.
got to be one of the Bones Jones. Who are the 2 at the Bones Jones?
Dominic Cruz, Chris Weidman.
Without a loss, because Dominic.
Five?
But it's
Main
a main event.
Who was on the main? Was that the main event? Whenever Dominic, I don't think that was the main event. Whenever Dominic Cruz lost to No Love. Who was the other one?
Dominic Cruz, Chris Weidman.
I guess the one we got to think.
5 UFC main events without a loss.
Weidman, I don't think, defended his. Weidman lost to Luke Rockhold. I think that was the main event. And Cruz had several title defense, like Mighty Mouse. I think it's Bones Jones and Dominic.
I agree with that.
The answer is Chris Weidman.
Chris Weidman.
No loss to UFC main event. 5-0, at least. Well, he could be 5-1 now.
Who did
He
he
won
lose
5
to?
straight.
Whenever he lost to Rockhold.
I'm looking that shit
Tom,
up.
I'm
looking that shit up. You ask the next question.
That's unbelievable.
I never thought this would be this much fun to do.
This is bull.
This is a terrible poll.
This is
It's not about the quiz, it's just facts. You guys don't
Dominic
know.
Cruz didn't lose forever.
Well, what were the UFC main events?
You would think.
He could have won a shit ton of co-main events, though don't count.
Wow. He
Thomas-
was fighting for a title.
Thomas, so you're almost there, so go ahead and read the next
no.
question.
Ask the next one.
Okay, Kevin Gosselman, or Gastelum,
Gasoline.
will fight on the anniversary of his Ultimate Fighter win. What season Ultimate Fighter did Gastelum win?
I remember he was the last guy picked.
12, 15, 17, 19.
I was gonna say 16.
Okay, so 12, 15, 17, 19.
God dang. I don't know. They've had a lot. I think they're on like 27.
I would think it'd be 17 then. Because he was the last guy ranked.
Yeah, he was the very last dude they picked.
Drake says 17. Thomas, do you have an answer?
Say 17, yeah.
The answer is 17.
Finally.
Finally.
1 for 5.
We tied Leighton.
1
Yes.
for 5.
We've got 4 left. Is that right? 5 left?
left.
Yeah. Next question. Israel Adesanya has the best striking defense in middleweight history, according to UFC stats. What is the number? 62%? 69%? Nice. 74%? 77%?
Same again.
62%? 69%? Nice. 74%? 77%?
We'll go 69.
Yeah.
69?
Yeah, I think
Drake?
we need to make that a clean sweep.
69, the answer is 69.
Nice call.
Booyah!
2 in a row on a little hot streak. Very nice by, who's that guy? Azanya.
Yeah, because it's almost impossible to dodge like 3 of every 4 punches, so.
The pitcher's won, Fletcher said.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Difference that's irrelevant to you during this quiz, but Fletcher had the over pitcher's season wins, and they just beat the Hawks to cover the bet, so Drake and Fletcher won money. Congratulations.
That's always good.
Next question. Thomas, are you ready?
Go for it.
I can't believe I haven't found this yet. It's been like 2 minutes. Eric Anders began his MMA career as a successful college football career
Alabama.
at what powerhouse school?
Alabama.
Bama.
Ohio State, Florida State, USC, Alabama.
Alabama.
Alabama. Alabama must be right because the confident answer is Alabama.
See, those are questions I thought we would get.
Yeah, what the
What
hell?
about USC?
Yeah, but those are like percentage questions. That's like asking, like, what was LeBron James' shooting percentage during the 2017 finals?
Open St. Preux has won 3 fights in his.
So, just real quick before we do this. So that Weidman question, it was who had 5 title defenses?
No, 5 consecutive main event
wins. Well, he lost to Kevin Gastelum. Or no, he beat Gastelum.
So you got 5.
Yeah, he's got several losses. I guess that's close
That's
to right because he lost to Rockhold, Romero, Musasi. Yeah, he wasn't the main event on any of those.
Wow.
All right, go on.
What was the other one you guys said called bullshit on? The second one we did.
It was the Gaethje's the
Oh, yeah, this is the
significant
strike thing.
strikes.
Alright, so next question. 3 more left. You guys are what? 3 for 8?
We've got 2, right?
2 for 8.
Three. We've got 3 in a row.
3 in a row. 3 for 8. Open St. Preux has won 3 fights in his MMA career via what method made famous by
Devon
an
Vlucho.
Ultimate Fighter alum?
Devon Vlut, right?
Von
Dalloway
Von
necktie,
Von Flu.
Fury flying armbar, Von Blue choke, Lebanon lock.
You know the answer.
Von Blue choke. Von Blue choke is correct. 4 in a row.
All right, we're getting it now.
Wilson Reyes has landed the second most takedowns in UFC fighter history behind Mighty Mouse. How many takedowns has Reyes landed? 31, 41, 43, 52.
Holy sh!
How
Think
many
about
guessed
that.
40
Curtis
something?
Blades just took over with like 33
Yeah, but that's a
in,
real
the,
man
in the
weight.
heavyweight.
That's a real man weight.
Little guys are just everywhere. Say the numbers again.
31, 41, 43, 52.
See, that's bullshit that those 40 numbers are so close
Yeah.
together.
I'm gonna say 31.
Alright.
You think 31 that low?
Thomas says 31.
Dude, it's got to be higher than that. Because you
Great.
think about those fights, you know what they consider a takedown.
Yeah.
It's not much.
What was the numbers again?
31, 41, 43, 52.
I guess I'll concede and go 41 on.
I think
mine.
41's the answer.
41. The boys say 41. The answer is 43.
43. That's bullshit that they put them so close together.
I don't think it could have been 41, 42,
2 takedowns apart.
Okay. What 2 fighters on the card have previously appeared at a UFC event in Atlanta?
Oh my goodness.
Say it again.
What 2 fighters on the card have previously appeared in a UFC event in Atlanta?
Well, that should be easy. There's only 26 fighters on the card.
Kali
Yeah,
Moontree Jr. and Alan Juban, Eric Anders and Alexander Pantoja, Kevin Gosselman and Dustin Poirier, Nikita Krylov, and Wilson Race.
I think we can mark off Nikita Krylov because he hasn't been in the UFC in a long time.
I was thinking Gastelum and Poirier.
That would be my guess too.
Because I want to say...
Dude, honestly, I was kind of leaning towards Roundtree, but Roundtree really hasn't been around that long.
It's okay to not agree because this is the last question. There could be the who knows what UFC.
But Roundtree hasn't been around that long. Poirier's been around for a long time.
Yeah, I think Poirier and Gastelum.
I like that. I
Gastelum?
like that answer.
All right, Poirier and Gastelum. Did they get 50%? Boys, you did not.
Who was it?
Nikita Krylov and the Rice guy.
Are you shitting?
The guy that immediately says,
the Russian?
I don't think it was him.
The guy from Russia.
They flew the dude in from Russia all the way to Atlanta
Twice now.
twice.
Twice.
We're gonna because he's got a huge following down there.
That one's on the UFC, dude. Like, I could
Save
have.
some gas money. Put him on the Sweden card in like 2 weeks.
I know, dude. This is crazy because I was thinking, well, yeah, I could see OSP. Like, that was one of the ones I immediately went to because Knoxville's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Atlanta. Like, that's seriously like a 3-hour drive. And then you have the other one. I thought, yeah, I could see Eric Anders, a guy from southern states, America, fighting on that.
Yeah.
Nope, it's a guy from Russia.
I would like to know how many people got better than a 50% on that.
They don't do a thingy, like a percent thing after, unfortunately, for this one. They do most of them, though.
There's not a guy in the world who got all those right.
So here's what's stupid about that.
We need to make
If
a
you were
quiz
going to
for
make
this.
an NBA poll, or we'll use baseball. If they were going to do a baseball poll, they'd be like, who hit the most dingers in MLB history,
Babe Bonds.
Who has the most stolen bases for the St. Louis Cardinals? Something like that. Like, it's going to be easy
Lou
shit
Brock.
that a relatively general fan can be like, Ozzie Smith? But that's the only Cardinal I really know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Who used to play shortstop for the Cardinals through the 90s who could do backflips?
Dude.
Ozzie Smith!
This poll was basically what right fielder has the highest the highest home run percentage when he's batting on the left side of the dish when he's actually a
On
right-handed
the
hitter.
1942 season. That was
I have
unbelievably...
never. So that went way better than I ever dreamed it going. Cause
That pisses me off more than if you actually beat me in that mile in a month.
The ones that had a definitive answer, we knew it before you even read the possible answers.
They are definitive answers because they were all the correct answer.
I think we need to throw one of them out.
Yes.
No.
I think we need to throw a few of them out. Any striking percentages is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a tough quiz. Thank you for finding it, but it sucked ass.
I really
Yeah,
hope they
it
do
did
it for
suck.
UFC 237.
I honestly, God, thought one of the questions would be, how many fights has Max Holloway won in a row? Like,
Yeah,
that would be a
something
good one.
like that, yeah.
Or what date was Max Holloway's last loss?
Well, and why was Chuck Liddell in there at one point?
Most consecutive knockout
Knockouts.
title defenses.
Yeah,
How
Max
many is
Holloway.
that? That can't be much.
Man, I didn't even think he held the title for 5 defenses.
No, I didn't think
Not
so.
consecutive, for sure.
That was a bullshit poll.
I'm gonna look that one up too. All right, let's move on. Leighton
All right.
ruined my night.
Yeah, now that you guys learned that we don't know anything, we're 40%ers.
Let's tell you how to make some money.
Yeah. Now that we've proven that we don't know anything, we're gonna tell you how to bet and win a ton of money.
I make you feel better about yourselves. You gotta know this one. I'm just trying to find this strike percentage thing for that one. Who has the most strikes in history of UFC?
The most strikes?
Yep. According to UFC stats.
I mean, Holloway's got to be up there.
Yeah.
Not in the top 10.
Would it be Michael Bisping?
He's not even in the top 10?
No.
What about Bisping?
Bisping is 5.
Wow.
St. Pierre?
He is number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is Jay Fitch, then F. Edgar.
Cowboy
then,
Cerrone.
John Fitch is number 2.
Yep. 2,185.
Who's
Where's
number
Cowboy?
3?
3 is Frankie Edgar. Demetrius Johnson. I guess the Johnson after that is 4. Bisping 5. Nate and Diaz. Could be either Diaz at 6. BJ Penn is 7. C. Leben is 8. R. Don Anjos
Chris Lieben is
Lieben's
7.
on there?
is 9. D. Elkins is 10. Max Holloway is 11.
Darren Elkins, but freaking...
Cowboy Cerrone holds the most wins in UFC history, and where's he at?
Cerrone.
That's nuts.
I don't think he's in the top 30.
That's
Wow.
nuts.
Well, 5 more let you guys know.
Okay.
All right, let's
That's
move
unbelievable.
on to the card.
He's 36.
Wow. Most wins in UFC history, 36 on all-time strikes. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about UFC 236. We'll start with the lightweight title fight. Max Holloway obviously holds the belt for the featherweight championship. He is now currently on a 13-fight win streak, has not lost since 2013 to the notorious one, Conor McGregor. Dustin Poirier, he's 8-1-1 in his last 10 fights. Max Holloway opens as a minus 225 favorite to Dustin Poirier plus 175. Mr. Shackelford, who brings home the strap?
You got to think Holloway. He's getting that extra 10 pounds. He doesn't have to cut that weight. He's got the reach on him. I think he's going to have the boxing on him. He's got a better chin. I think I'm going to call for a TKO round 2.
I actually agree with that 100%. I think it will knock him out in the second round.
This is a rematch where Poirier won, actually, by armbar, but that was Holloway's. I don't think people realize Poirier's been in the UFC a long, long time. He was actually a super touted prospect probably 8 years ago, but he kept alternating wins and losses once he got up to the little bit higher level guys. But when he fought Holloway, he was one of the best 45-pounders in the world, whereas Holloway, it was his very first fight in the UFC.
He was like 18, 19, wasn't he?
Yeah, 19, he may have just turned 20 or something like that. And he was even touching Poirier up. Poirier ended up having to take him down and grapple with him. And I don't think Holloway had any wrestling or jiu-jitsu to speak of at all. So
yeah.
And now he uses his takedown defense as really one of his best weapons because nobody can get him down, and he just wears them out. So I actually see it as a pretty smooth win for Holloway.
Yeah, I actually agree with you 100%. I think it will be a second-round knockout. I think that would be the bet to take, second-round knockout by Max Holloway. So now we go on to the middleweight title fight. I feel weird saying that. It is Kevin Gastelum. He is actually riding a 2-fight win streak, one of the rare guys who doesn't have a losing record over his last 5 fights on this main event, or on this main card. Gastelum is a plus 145 dog to Israel Adesanya, who is 16-0. Fought his last fight just 2 months from the day. He is a minus 175 favorite. Mr. Shackelford, who do you like in this fight?
This one's a tougher one to pick.
I think this is the toughest one on the card to pick.
Yeah, as far as like high profile, definitely. You got Adesanya, who he's pretty much passed all the tests with flying colors, even though some of the this is a weird one because all the guys he's fought, you could look at and be like, well, Anderson's a little past his prime, and Derek Brunson really, hasn't had a good win in several years. What was that one? Venatori or whatever his name's, a tough guy, but he was just a punching bag. And then Brad Tavares is another one that's kind of a middle tier guy. So to say he's unproven wouldn't be a stretch, but he definitely hasn't gone up against a guy in his prime like Gastelum. Now, Gastelum, what we're looking for with him is that forward pressure.
Making weight.
Making weight. 1, making weight. 2, not showing up looking like a leper with the biggest ringworm and staph patches I've ever seen all over his face. And 3 would be, is he going to grapple or is he just going to try and strike? Because you got to think, he is a southpaw and he does have a really good, strong left hand. But Adesanya's had like 190 freaking kickboxing fights. He's seen that before. So I don't know the favorites here. Who'd you say was the favorite?
Adesanya.
Man, god dang it.
I think this is closer than what people are going to give it credit for.
I want to pick Adesanya, but if Gastelum's going to be a pretty heavy dog, I would almost
much. You have to bet 175 to win 100 on Adesanya, and 145 or $100 wins you 145 for Gastelum. So he's a slight dog.
I want to pick Adesanya. I think he's going to avoid the big shots and beat up Kelvin from the outside. But if you're looking to make a little extra coin, the Gastelum's not a horrible pick. But I do think Adesanya gets it done.
Yeah, I think in a parlay, I almost want to keep this one out because I think it will be close. But I do think this reminds me of those fights that we talk about a lot where you have this guy who comes in undefeated, really hasn't been tested much, and you have a guy who's basically been through the gauntlet, and a guy who's fought basically everybody and anybody. And those fights always end up closer than what the odds say. So that one does make me fight. So you are going with Adesanya.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think it's going to play out? Like, do you think he's going to knock him out, or do you think he's just going to win 5 rounds?
I think decision. Yeah.
5-round decision.
Yeah. Gastelum's he's a tough guy. He'll hang in there, but I just think when you're a stationary guy whose biggest weapon is just move straight forward and right hook, left cross or left overhand. I just think Adesanya's seen that forever. Now, if Gastelum, the reason why, if he was in a little better shape, I mean, you brought up the weight thing, but he's not particularly a guy that's just blowing people away with his cardio.
Right.
And he's kind of abandoned his grappling in a lot of his fights in his last previous fights. So to think that he's going to switch back to a more cardio-heavy grappling guy is kind of a stretch.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So this fight actually has some promise. This next one, I think it's going to be a really fun fight. I think it has potential for fight of the night. Light heavyweight matchup. Eric Anders. He is 1-3 in his last 4 fights. It feels like he's just done better than that, though.
Well, he took one of them on like 2 weeks' notice.
Yeah.
Or I think he took 2 of them on really, really short notice. His last one was actually, I thought, bullshit, too. Me and a billion other people thought he won, but they ended up giving it to Elias Theodoro or whatever his name is. So
yeah.
I would say he's actually more like 2-1 in his last couple.
Yeah, so he is a minus 200 favorite to Khalil Roundtree, who's a plus 160 dog. Last time we saw him in the cage, he got knocked out by Johnny Walker. Who do you think wins this fight?
I'm going to go Anders. I think he took some time off because even he said he took that really short notice fight with Thiago Santos, damn near won, and then he took two more short notice fights, and he said like, hey, no more short notice fights. I'm going to give myself the chance. You know, when you're a young guy, you want to take those fights and you want to, I don't want to say be a company guy, but when they call you, you know, it's not a bad thing to be like, hey, hell yeah, I'll do that, you know. But at some point, you do got to take care of yourself a little bit. And Roundtree's a tough dude, big puncher, strong puncher. But I think Anders is just a little smarter of a fighter, probably just as athletic, probably more athletic. I think he gets a decision here.
Now we'll go ahead and go to the welterweight matchup. Alan Joban opens as a minus 120 favorite. Last time he was in the cage, he knocked out Ben Saunders. And he will be fighting a guy that we struggled to find some stuff on because every time we type his name into the search bar, it came up an American rapper.
Maybe that's just him.
I don't think it is. Dwight Grant. He came in through the Contender Series. He is actually a minus 110 dog. I mean, these odds are as basically pick 'em, as even as you can get. Who do you think's going to win this fight?
When I looked at this, I thought this was the toughest one to pick because you're basically looking at Alan Joban, who's more of a really slick striker, just really, really technical. I want to say southpaw, really technical. He's the dude that's really good looking. He actually models. He has a modeling contract on the side.
So he can't get punched.
He doesn't. I don't think he likes to. Him and Luke Rockhold both have modeling contracts. Joban, I think, got his first, so he's the prettiest man in the UFC. He's very, very.
Whoa. You forgetting, dude? Darren Elkins in the UFC.
No, he lost that title many moons ago. Joban's got really smooth, slick striking. He's not really a nitty-gritty, get in there deep guy. And this other dude's more super athletic, not as slick, but maybe a little better chin than Joban. This one was a pick'em. It was a pick'em. I think I'm going to pick Joban just because he's got a little bit more experience in the UFC, and it's been a little while since we saw him. This other dude's tough, though. He, like you said, he came off the Contender Series, and he had I think he won a decision against Zach Otto, who's...
I think he lost to Zach Otto, won his next fight after that.
He did lose to Zach Otto?
I think he did.
Otto's the one, I don't know if you remember him, he knocked Sage Northcutt half dead in the first round, then got tired, and Northcutt beat the shit out of him. So, I mean, again, his competition hasn't been gigantic, whereas Joban's fought a lot of tough guys. So we'll go Joban.
Yeah, plus I feel like he has more skin in the game.
He does. I mean, right
because
now at his point in his career, if he loses 1 to 2 more, you know, modeling's probably going to be his number 1 gig.
Right. So he can't get punched much.
No.
So we'll go ahead and go to the opening fight of the main card here. We have Ovent St. Preux. I was surprised when I saw this stat. He's 4-5 in his last 9 fights. He opens as a slight dog, basically a pick'em fight. He's minus 110 to Nikita Krylov. Nikita Krylov is minus 120. Nikita Krylov took off all that time, fought over basically in Russia, came back, lost to Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah.
And yes, Krylov is a slight favorite.
I'm
Who do you like?
going to go OSP. I don't trust Krylov because he laid down against Jan over there in Russia, which we picked him because when we were picking through the card, I think that was the card that it was in Russia and only one. He was the only Russian that lost on the card.
Yes.
So we called some kind of foul play there. We'll go SP.
Yeah, I actually like that pick too. Overall, I think this card's gonna be pretty good. Who do you think's the lead candidate for fight of the night if you had to pick off the main event?
Poirier and Holloway. I think they're gonna. Although I think Holloway's gonna pretty much. When I say a smooth win, I don't think he's just gonna go out there 1-2, knocked him dead, and it's over. I think there's gonna be a little bit of back and forth, but I think it's gonna be one of those where Holloway's landing 3-1, then 4-1, then 5-1, then 6. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it'll be a fun fight to watch. But I think Holloway's going to make it pretty easy.
Yeah. A lot of times we talk a lot about the undercard, what fights we're really looking forward to there. I think that this card is not as appealing outside of the top 2-3 fights than most of the fights that they've just been putting on ESPN1. You run down the
super top heavy. That's
yes,
for sure.
very, very top heavy.
Top 2 fights heavy.
Yes. You have Max Griffin. He's fighting Wilson Reyes. He's fighting Bilal Muhammad, Curtis Millender. That's really the only actual fight that stands out to me. Are there any fights you're looking forward to in the undercard there?
The Wilson Hayes and Alex Pantoja should be a good one. You would recognize Pantoja if you saw him. No, I mean I'm sure there's going to be.
He beat Brandon Moreno. That's
yeah,
how. Okay.
Yeah.
The name's familiar.
I'm sure some of these fights are going to be good, but yeah, it's super top heavy. I mean the main card's all pretty good. Those are all solid fights, but they're really hanging heavy on Holloway, Poirier, and then Gastelum and Adesanya.
Yeah, I actually agree.
Which
with
I
that.
guess maybe that's something they have to do when they're putting out cards every week. So they need at least 2 to 3 really good fights on every single card. So instead of back in the day where you have a 10-fight card and everybody on the card, now
right.
There's too many cards for
They're
that.
getting thin. Have you found out how much it's going to be for the ESPN?
I have not, but I was looking at this, and when I looked it up, it said that this is an ESPN Plus pay-per-view.
You have to buy it on ESPN Plus.
So they're already switching to that model that we talked about.
That's wild. That happened really fast.
Yeah,
I'm going to see. I'm going to look up and see how much this is actually going to be. How much it is to buy. Purchase UFC pay-per-view and enjoy a year of ESPN Plus for $7.99.
Oh, so you buy one pay-per-view and you get the plus for the whole year for $8?
Yeah, I think so. That's the way it's looking.
I guess that's not that bad.
They're only $59.99 now that they're on ESPN Plus.
So $60, and then you get for the whole year you get $8. I guess that's not too bad. But if you wanted to order more than one, it gets a little.
Yeah, it gets a little tricky there. I
guess it's the same.
I think if you don't have ESPN Plus, they're basically tricking you into buying ESPN Plus because then you just pay the $80 for the year. But if you have ESPN Plus, which is $5 a month, each one of the UFCs will be $60.
So it's about the same.
Yeah. That's not too bad.
Oh.
So we talked about it before we got on the air. TJ Dillashaw, banned for 2 years for apparently using erythropoietin, commonly known as EPO. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think 2 years is a good enough suspension for him?
I don't know. I'm not one of those people that's ban him for life, guys. I guess only time will tell. I didn't know really what EPO was. I was thinking it was where they take your blood out, spin it, and then put it back in. But you said it's just a straight injection. Either way, what's crazy to me is mixed martial arts has always had steroids and mixed martial arts has always gone hand in hand. I mean, you could look at UFC 1, Ken Shamrock was in there, clearly on HGH. So I don't know. I could tell you, I think I've competed against dudes that were on HGH before, even in high school. These guys looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they weighed the same as me. I mean, as a competitor, it would piss me off unbelievably. And you got to think some of these guys' lives. You know, you look at Cody. We'll use Cody Garbrandt as the example here. You know, TJ knocks him out 2 times in a row. He beats Dominic Cruz, right, and he's looking like he's going to be the best 35-pounder ever. Then you got Dillashaw comes in, knocks him out 2 times in a row. Basically, puts him in a position where he has to take kind of an even harder fight, loses again, whereas maybe he wins that first title fight and he gets another fight at that pay-per-view buys, you know, that high money pay scale, maybe even 2 fights at that pay scale before he meets up with that other guy. So you're talking, I mean, that's life-altering stuff there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if you think about it, those guys not only lost out at the title, but they also lost out on tons of money. Like, if you're Cody Garbrandt, you have to be furious right now.
I follow him on Twitter, and he doesn't post a lot. Ever since the EPO, he didn't say a whole lot. I don't remember him saying anything when it first came out, when they wouldn't tell people what it was. But since they found out it was EPO, he has been going nuts online.
Yes.
And I don't blame him, because
I think he should have to pay back the winnings that those guys would have had.
I don't know if they can take money.
I think that's honestly the only...
I don't know if they could take the money, but certainly, I tell you who had a good point about it was John Kavanaugh, Conor McGregor's coach. He's pretty active on Twitter, and he's pretty intelligent on there. I love reading some of the stuff he puts. But so they did a 2-year suspension. I think they should probably do a 2-year post, not a previous, you know, take all his wins away, turn him to no contest from the 2 years prior. Because now you look at like Garbrandt's record, and he's got 2 losses to deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, no, I agree.
I mean, I think that's fair to do for sure.
I think you do that and you take away his winnings.
I guess what we're gonna have to look at is in 10 years. Is this a thing where, like, when Lance Armstrong was doing his stuff, legitimately every person riding a bicycle at the Tour de France was on that same stuff he was? So in my eyes, if you took all those guys natural, Lance Armstrong was probably going to win. And he even said that he didn't start. He was a pretty good amateur rider and a pretty good pro rider, but he was still like way marginally worse than the guys that were winning the races. And he knew that his training regimen was every bit as good or harder than theirs. But then as soon as he started taking that stuff, all of a sudden he skyrocketed. But he was doing the same stuff as them, just training harder. It evened that playing field to win. So in 10 years, are we going to look back and find out, 99% of those guys were taking stuff? And then you look at a guy like Dillashaw and you're like, wait, maybe that wasn't the worst thing. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. I think that he should get the 2 years off. I'm fine with. The rest I don't know about. I don't know that you could take money from him. At least do the no contest, the 2 years. I would be cool with that. But, I mean, people have said, hey, Nick Diaz said it like 15 years ago. All y'all on steroids.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And when he said it, like, everybody kind of was like, oh, dude, Diaz is nuts. But
there's a reason why he looks different than everybody else.
Yeah, and you know, Ben Askren's tweeting out pictures of his body, and he's like, "This is what just a naturally strong guy looks like." And I don't disagree with him. You know.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with him. But what blows me away about that is that's such a hardcore substance to use. You got to think that's pretty easily detectable, but apparently it's not, because his tests came back negative at first. They don't test every sample for EPO. They apparently only do it randomly, and his second one just happened to get randomly tested and popped. So you're talking people could be doing EPO all the time. I don't know why they don't test for it all the time.
I don't know. It's probably an expensive test, and you know
what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, no, I agree, because it is a freaking it's a multi-billion-dollar company. You know, you need to even the playing field.
On one hand, you got John Jones where they're testing, and they're like, "Oh, well, these are picograms. These are so small. If you took a pinch of salt and threw in an Olympic pool, you know, that's how far down we can test." But then you got old boy doing probably one of the. I mean.
This is
that's right up there with like DECA or, you know, like some of these stuffs that I just know from reading Muscle and Fitness. I know these names. You're not testing for those, but you're testing for some random ass thing that he maybe walked through a room and a dusting went up into his nose. It's so crazy. To me, it kind of shows you how USADA is not doing their job, or if they are, they're doing it pretty
poorly.
Shitty.
Yes.
They're doing it pretty shitty, you know.
Yes. I actually stand with Kavanaugh on that. I think that they should wipe away any of his wins. They should be turned into basically no contest. Just like if a guy was to fail for, you know, get popped for marijuana after a win, just turn it straight to
AKA Nick Diaz.
Yes, turn it straight to a no contest, and it gets wiped off the record. And I think that he should have to pay back the winnings that he got for winning those fights to the fighters directly.
That would definitely be a deterrent.
Because it would be the biggest deterrent. Because a lot of guys back whenever steroids were big in baseball, they said, "Well, it's smart to use steroids because we're going to get these huge contracts and get suspended for a period of time." But that doesn't take our contract away. We're still under here for 6 years, $200 million, and we're gonna make all this money. So it's dumb for us financially to not do steroids. Which, if you do use a performance enhancer that is actually a performance enhancer, like EPO, like if somebody was on HGH or if somebody was on testosterone, something that actually enhances your performance, it would deter athletes from doing that, because there's absolutely no financial gain. You might get your $100,000 win bonus, but at the end of the day, you're going to be paying that back to the guy maybe a year and a half later. Yeah. And I think that's the only way you should do it fairly, because there's no reason to pay these guys. Like Dillashaw probably made more money by beating Garbrandt and being able to defend his title and then fight Henry Cejudo than if he ever would have touched the sauce in the first place. If he never would have got on EPO, never had a title fight, never won a title fight, he's coming out ahead, even though he's sitting out 2 years.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you've said it before, how the only guys that really get paid handsomely are the guys fighting for the title, and Dillashaw probably would have never fought for the title in the first place, and if he would have, he would have never won, and then off that win, he gets 2 more title fights.
You're right. I mean, you're right. And I like that scenario better than banning them for life, which is a lot. That's what a lot of people are calling for, is like just one failed test, ban for life, which I don't like that, just because the fight game... Well, all pro sports, it's about the money, but the fight game in particular is particularly dirty. I mean, you look back at Tommy, he played Tommy Gunn in the Rocky movie. That dude tested positive for HIV back in the 90s. Did you know he doesn't test positive now?
What?
He doesn't have HIV. So there's people that think that maybe they thought that he could beat Tyson, like, because him and Tyson were supposed to fight. Like, they were on kind of a collision course, and then he ends up either losing or he tested positive for HIV before and automatically took him out. But he doesn't test positive for HIV anymore. So that means that either those tests were false or somebody falsified them, or he's one of the 1% of people on Earth that beat HIV.
Wow.
So the fight game's dirty. Even some of those stories those old school boxing guys tell are pretty insane, but MMA is no different.
No.
I mean, you're fist fighting for money. So the lifetime ban, that was one thing that John Jones was always talking about, is maybe somebody spiked one of his drinks and shit like that. And you think that sounds crazy, but that shit has happened. And that's why people, you know what I mean? So the lifetime ban to me, I would rather see like you're saying. I think that's now that that's kicking around my marbles in my head, I actually like that. Because if he paid back that money, say they make $250,000 for a title fight, but their regular purse was 60 and 60. Say they pay back all of it, but they're 60 and 60. They're 120 or whatever. Yeah, that's going to be a gigantic deterrent.
Yeah, I'm not saying bankrupt the guy.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if him and Garbrandt fought and they both were going to make $250,000 apiece, and the winner was getting an extra $100,000 kicker, I think that he has to pay back that kicker. I don't think he should take back any of his show money, because he showed up and he fought. He did the training camp. But any money that he won extra, and I think that should include any performance bonuses he should have to pay back to his opponent, win bonuses, go straight back to the opponent. I think there has to be a bigger deterrent than saying, hey, you have to sit out for 2 years. Because if he's already made, let's say he got $250,000, what is the title holder? What do they get paid?
I'm not sure. I think everybody's different, but I want to say it's like $150,000 for the challenger, like automatically, and maybe $250 for just their base pay. I think their base pay for the champion actually varies, but I want to say somewhere around $250. But then if they get pay-per-view points, they get more.
I'm trying to look up Dillashaw versus Garbrandt payouts for this. Because this could actually be kind of eye-opening for how much money that he made.
Let me rephrase my story. So apparently I'm a few years behind on Tommy Morrison. So he actually did test positive for HIV in 96, but then started testing negative in 2007 and 2008, fought 2 more times. And then in 2013, he actually passed away of AIDS.
Wow.
So I guess that was wrong. How did they let him? That's, again, even if somebody didn't mess with his test back in the day, how can he test positive for so many years and able to get licensed to fight again and then end up having AIDS?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So the payouts for UFC 227... there was actually no win bonus. TJ Dillashaw took home $350,000. Garbrandt took home $200,000. I think you should have to make up for what he had made over the other guy.
Yeah.
What he'd made. $150,000 straight to Cody Garbrandt. I think that's the only way to, he'd still get to keep $200,000 of whatever he'd done. But riddle me this, if you're fighting on a main card, you could make $50,000. That's probably what you're going to get paid if you're not fighting for a title. So why not juice up a little bit? Why not get paid $350,000, which you got there? I'm sure he got the same for the Cejudo fight. So right there, he's at $700,000, and he would have had to fight 12 times.
Yeah.
In that 2 years. So
Yeah.
as long as you get it twice, you're set.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to fight 6 times a year.
That sounds like a very logical way to go about it.
I agree, and it's the only way to deter people from doing that.
I guess, man, I don't know. I guess it depends on what side of the fence. To me, like, if you're freaking playing baseball or basketball, What's it really matter if you're all juiced up? I mean, it doesn't matter. You're not hurting anybody.
What if he happened to kill somebody whenever
Well,
he was fighting?
that's what I'm saying now. Contact sports. Now, the NFL, I say that, but then we watch the NFL and pretend like every one of those dudes aren't juiced to the gills.
I know.
And then, but for fighting, it's a different standard. I don't know. I guess for me, fighting's supposed to be like this pure martial arts thing, but it's prize fighting. It's prize fighting.
Yeah.
USADA or Jeff Novinsky puts out these things where, do you know who I think he said the most tested UFC fighter is with a clean bill?
Who's that?
McGregor.
Oh wow!
Like he's
been tested more than anybody else.
Yeah, they do him in like yearly, the whole program, monthly, stuff like that. And McGregor is the highest tested guy.
And if you watch his fights, I mean, he really just looks like a natural guy, and he gets tired like human beings do.
Yeah, yep. I mean, unless you're a Diaz brother, that's what a normal person. That's the best thing about it, because like Rogan and those guys, when Dillashaw fights, they're like, he just never gets tired. He's doing this and he's doing that. Well, there's a reason.
Yeah, he has twice as many red blood cells as the guy he's fighting, so that helps. Maybe Layton's going to get on EPO for that race.
No, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about
Don't even need it.
I'm thinking about doing it for sure. I bet I could find somebody in the Heights that will get me some.
Get you some EPO, low cost. Any other nuggets that you want to hit on before we wrap this show up?
Dude, did you guys see any highlights from the bare knuckle boxing?
I can't watch it.
I did not, but I saw highlights of Dylan Dennis being a badass wrestler on Twitter.
That wasn't a highlight.
That was a low light.
No shit. I'm thinking I could beat Dylan Dennis in a wrestling match. I think I could beat Dylan Dennis in a wrestling match more than I think I can beat you in a mile in a month.
That was bad. That video he posted
He
was
didn't
bad.
look horrible, but he certainly didn't look
well, okay.
like anything. I would not put a video of my high school career on Twitter and tell people that I was so good that colleges were beating down my door. I might put the video on there and be like, hey, I talked to like 2 colleges and I couldn't afford either one and I had horrible grades. So like that's all.
His video that he posted was decent. But if you're going to post one video on Twitter and try to convince people on how good of a wrestler you are, it better be the best freaking video you have. And I imagine that was the best video that he has.
Just so the listeners know, the producer just opened his Bible out of the box for the first time ever.
Where'd it go?
And he brought down what is that?
I hit a wasp.
It's a wasp.
No, you didn't hit it, but it fell somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Right now, Mr. Shackelford has a wasp cornered with a Bible in his hand, and it looks like he came out victorious.
Wasp has been destroyed.
No,
Okay.
if I was gonna put a video on Twitter, it'd be me of beating the best guy I ever beat. It wouldn't be just me like beating some schlub.
Yes, no, that was sad. That was sad.
But back to you guys really didn't see any of the highlights?
I watched it, and I learned that I can't watch it.
No, we have to rent the Poly Malignaggi Lobov one.
Dude, it's something about those people, it just makes me feel bad. It makes me feel bad, dude. It's
brutal.
like watching hillbilly fights or watching Rough and Rowdy. Like, I can't watch that stuff.
We have to rent the Lobov Malignaggi.
We'll watch
Did you see Malignaggi slapped him? He like came up and was trying to do some little press stuff, and
Has he not heard what happens when you do that?
Well, people were roasting him. They're like, "You better watch out! Connor's on his way from Ireland right now." Dude, that fight was brutal looking.
Yes,
I watched the highlights. I think I watched. Somebody posted all of round 5, which I tagged you guys in, and then I watched highlights. Dude, at one point, Lobov freaking hits, and you know what Jason Knight's nickname is?
What is it?
Hick Diaz.
Hick D.
Because he fights like a Diaz brother, and he's a hick.
I like
But
it.
at one point, Lobov freaking hits him with like a 2-piece combo, and something falls on the ground, and they pan the camera down, and it's his fucking tooth. The other thing I've seen... Beck Rawlings.
I saw.
Did you see the one where she spit her tooth out?
Yes.
She takes a couple punches to the mouth. She's just like. Pfft.
Do they not wear mouthpieces?
They do, but you're getting hit with bare knuckles.
Wow.
You just remember that next time you're thinking about rumbling with some guy at a bar.
Yeah. I don't like it.
Chris Lieben beat the shit out of a dude. That same card. I'm trying to think. Sherman, another guy that fights UFC, a heavyweight, apparently not now, but he fought. It was pretty good. We absolutely have to rent.
I'll rent the Paul. Is that the next fight?
It's in June, they said.
Okay, I'll rent that one. There's no way, dude. There's no way that Lobov's face is going to recover, dude. That was terrible.
Did you see the pictures?
Yes. I feel bad for those guys when they're out there doing that.
I want to know how much they got paid.
I hope it was $1 billion because that's what they deserve.
Darren Wynn, he was a Olympic level wrestler.
Could you imagine if some shit with like the AAF, like how they just fold overnight? Like those guys go out there and fight and don't even get paid for that.
That's what happened. Remember, I was saying there's this league, I think the Bare Knuckle Championships.
Yeah, those.
The other one that Sean Merriman was signed up in and stuff. None of those guys got paid.
That's unbelievable.
Lieben was one of them. At least this one seems like it's doing pretty well. I think this is like their 4th pay-per-view.
This is crazy.
So we absolutely, Leighton, you jot it down. We absolutely, positively, 100% have got to rent that one.
Dude, it has to be the same company that I was talking about, because did you notice the cage?
It was a circle.
It was a circle, and it bowed down to the middle.
It did?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
There's just a slight bow in it, so people will fight in the middle. They meet up
at the line, like there's 2 lines. They say meet scratch. I think meet the scratch line. So in between every round, they got to come up to that line, and they basically start where they're like nose to nose. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's the nastiest thing I've ever seen. I don't know if Malinagi's going to do it.
I don't think he will.
He's been retired for like 10 years. He's smaller than Lobov.
He has nothing to gain from this.
I cannot imagine he makes it to that fight night.
No, there's no way.
I can't imagine it.
There's no way. Any other nuggets before we wrap this bad boy up?
Man, I had some more. I had some other stuff to talk about.
Who wins in a wrestling match, Dylan Danis or Ben Askren?
I said I think I could beat Danis. Askren. I think Askren pins him within 30 seconds.
You think it'd take him 30 seconds?
Just because it'd take Danis that long to not run.
Dude, that would be the ugliest wrestling match ever. Did you notice that so they posted this thing, Ben Askren versus Jordan Burroughs, which would be like the dream match to go watch.
They're doing it. Beat the streets, yeah.
At the Madison Square Garden Theater. And he posted on that picture, looks like Ben's taking the easy way out or something like that.
He did?
Yes.
No, I didn't see that.
Yes, Danis posted Ben's taking the easy way out. It's like, dude, Jordan Burroughs is not the easy way out for
probably
anything.
The best American wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
I seen Burroughs, which all that stuff's for charity. They say it's for charity, but last year I think I heard tickets for like $2,000.
They're $30 this year.
They are 30. Okay.
I looked it up. I was
the first
kicking
year,
around the idea.
That wouldn't be bad.
That would be so awesome.
I wonder
to watch.
how much of a
because it's the
flight
world
we
team
get out.
versus the NCAA champions.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Man,
that's sweet.
When is it?
It's in May. No, shit, it might be in May, dude.
That's too soon.
May or June. Yeah,
that's too soon. I seen Burroughs like put the promo out, and he put like doubles greater than sign the funk, and then he put something else like you can't funk out of my double legs, and Askren just put shoot singles, let's have some fun.
That's hilarious.
He just makes no bones about it. It's just like, just shoot a single leg on me. Like, why do you want to shoot a double leg? Grab one leg.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff coming up. Not without Lobov Malinagi's death match.
Anything else?
Nope.
And on that note, for Drake, for Leighton C, and Mr. Shackelford, Dippers, we hope you win some money. And on that note, stay saucy.